Hey guys, my name is Chantel. Welcome back to my channel and thanks for hanging out with me today. So today we are talking about Idolish7 Third Beat Part 2, Episode 15. So I'm sorry that this is coming to you guys late. I actually just recently left my former job and it's mainly the reason why I haven't been able to upload and be more consistent with my schedule. But now that I am away from that job and have a better job that's more consistent, I'll be able to do these videos and have them uploaded and get them out to you guys, way sooner and as possible. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and just dive into talking about Idolish7. This episode basically leaves off where we last left off in the first episode, which was pretty much the boys looking for Trigger, and they are able to narrow it down to a few places thanks to Rivale going to interrogate this guy. And Yuki and Momo are just so funny, especially Yuki. Like, that whole scene just interrogating this guy that was obviously hired by Ryo-san was honestly hilarious to see because the guy wasn't budging, but Yuki was pulling out all the stops and was like, do not try me, I will get you to talk. Like, I just freaking love Rivales so freaking much. I love them. Anyway, so we have the boys going into teams, and let's just go ahead and talk about Yamato, Sogo, and Tamaki. So these three actually end up at one of the places where Gaku is, and obviously they don't know that yet, but they are able to confirm that one of the boys are there because Tamaki ends up pushing a button. And I think it's so funny because Sogo's like, oh, he just can't help it. Like, he seemed like such a proud mom. Like, just so happy about his child and just bragging. It was just so funny and cute. And Yamato was like, dude, this is not the time to be doing this. But that also goes to show Tamaki's just innocence overall. Like, he is just an innocent little boy. And yeah, so it's just funny to me, like, how he just pushed the button. Who's like, hey, excuse me, But yeah, they were able to confirm, though, thanks to Tamaki pushing the button, that one of the Trigger boys was being held hostage there. And on top of that, thanks to Yamato's quick thinking and acting skills, he was able to pull it off to where the boys were able to escape safely. And again, like I said, confirm that one of the boys was in fact there in the building. And honestly, it was awesome because the fact that Yamato was able to use his acting skills outside of work was honestly really cool to see. But I mean, this is Yamato. I kind of expected it. Like, Yamato is really good at acting. But anyways, you guys, we're gonna go ahead and skip to the next part that we see, since, we kind of basically jump around from group to group. And it's just more easier for me to talk about if we talk about the next thing that happens, which is basically Nagi. Let's go ahead and talk about Nagi since he gets the ball rolling for everybody else and as well as for the rest of this episode. So with Nagi, he's actually alone, which actually surprised me that they let him go alone. So anyway, Nagi is able to confirm that one of the boys is in the building, and he is actually able to go in and just jump right in, which I feel like a lot of us would expect since we did see the YouTube original with Nagi just beating up the bad guys. So he basically jumps in, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys because I watched Spy Family, right? So I thought it was so funny that Nagi is pulling something off that Lloyd would in Spy Family. Like, it's just, I don't know, I think it's so funny, especially because, again, the voice actor of Lloyd is Nagi, so it just makes the whole thing even funnier to me. I don't know if anyone else felt that way, but yeah, just a little tidbit there. But anyway, but it was pretty awesome to see Nagi like put all these skills that he has learned, I'm assuming from his childhood and growing up, to use. And like, he was just like this big old spy and getting ready for action and saving the day. And we were able to see that Ryu was the one being held hostage here, and Nagi's there to save him. And he's able to act out and make it seem that he's a threat by, making sure that the building's lights were turned off and everything. He shut it off before going in, which was smart, but, they also threatened to hurt Ryu, and he's like, well, crap, what do I do? But Nagi's he's a really quick thinker. I will give him that. I was really surprised of how quick he was able to think, and especially calmly in a situation like this. So props to Nagi on that, but also at the same time, like I said earlier, it makes sense because of how he grew up and stuff. Obviously, I don't know how he grew up and everything, but like I said, based on that YouTube original, I could assume that, well, all of us could assume that don't know like the main game storyline and stuff. But anyway, you guys, it's just amazing to see how he was able to use the Uchinagi, I think, language or dialect, the Okinawa dialect, that I believe that's what it was from you. I believe that's what it was from Ryu when he taught him back in that one episode, which is really impressive because we saw that Nagi was kind of struggling a little bit, but he was able to pick it up. And he did say, he can learn any language, like he can do it. And who knew that little tidbit from way back when was the thing that was going to save Ryu, because thanks to that, they were able to communicate without these guys listening into their conversation. And he was Nagi was able to instruct Ryu, hey, like, this is what you're gonna do, and on my signal, do it. And that's how they were able to escape. And it was honestly like smooth sailing for them. So yeah, Nagi was able to get Ryu out of danger, and he was able to get him to the venue on time. But unfortunately, Ryu is the only one who is there at the time. We still haven't seen Ten or Gaku, and he does ask, like, hey, have you guys seen him? Are they okay? And they confirm with him, like, no, you're the only one who has made it so far. And then we cue in Ryo-san and Torao, who come in and just poke the bear and is like, oh, we all know how Ryo-san is. And just basically coming in, acting like, he had no idea this was gonna happen. Just basically, like, acting as if he had nothing to do with the whole situation when, in fact, he did. And I love that Ryu does confront Torao and is like, hey, like, why did you betray me? Like, I went to the location you told me and I trusted you. And obviously Torao's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And, we obviously know Torao's true colors and stuff like that. But, like I said earlier in my past videos, Ryu is just such a gentle giant. He is very trustworthy of people and always gives them the benefit of the doubt. And that's, it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because, like I said, people can take advantage. Like Torao, he was able to take advantage of that. And this is probably like one of the very few instances where we see Ryu lose his cool. And it's just because, it has something to involve with the guys, which is Ten and Gaku, who he deeply cares about and cares about Trigger and its fans. Of course he's gonna get mad, because he cares about these things. Because this is important and he cares. And of course Torao is, trying to get under his skin still and, like, mentions about, like, oh, like, I wonder how your fans are gonna feel about you once they realize that you're just a fisherman's son. And I'm just like, who the freak cares? Like, leave my boy alone. And I'm sure the fans will still love Ryu regardless, obviously. But because of the way Trigger is right now, like, it's not gonna look good, obviously, to other people that aren't fans and stuff. Which, my poor boy Ryu, man, like, he was honestly being tested, and all he could do was wait and hope that Gaku and Ten would make it to the venue on time. So now moving on from that, let's go ahead and discuss the other group, which is Mitsuki and Riku. So Riku and Mitsuki actually end up bumping into one of the guys accidentally that were holding Ten hostage. And like I said, at the time they didn't know who it was until we see that Ten is trying to escape and leave, which, you know, he was resisting and trying to see if anyone would help, and like he was screaming and doing all the right things, right? That way someone would come and rescue him. And, you know, we could see that Riku was obviously worried about his brother, but he honestly kept his cool, which was, I don't know why that surprised me, but Riku really kept his calm and cool. And he did talk to Mitsuki beforehand because he was like, hey, let me like help out with helping my brother. Like, I want to help. And obviously Mitsuki's like, no, stupid. You have your illness to think about. Like, what if something happens to you while we're trying to save your brother? Like, Mitsuki was thinking ahead of time and thinking about Riku's like well-being as well. Thankfully, as the episode goes in, it looks like the boys have a plan. But as I'm watching this for the first time, I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe like they actually went and knocked like that, like nothing. And Riku just barges in to try and save Ten. And I was just like, Riku, what are you thinking? Like, I was like panicking, like seeing Riku just dive right in. And I was like, oh my god, I'm like the whole thing, like what was running to in my mind was like, great, Mitsuki probably had a plan and now Riku ruined it. But no, actually they had me fooled. These boys already had a plan, and they ended up using Riku's illness to trick the men that were holding Ten hostage, which was honestly really, really smart that they were able to use Riku's illness to their advantage, because Riku faked having an attack while all this was happening, but because of this, Ten starts freaking out. He's like, please, I'll do anything, please just get him help, like he's sick, you guys, please, like I'll do anything. And while they're distracted with this, Riku is able to grab the key and is able to obviously go ahead and free his brother. But as like all this is going, Mitsuki also kicks one of the guys and knocks him down, and all of a sudden Nagi shows up out of nowhere, which was interesting how he just came in. He basically slipped right in, like I said, like a spy, which was kind of funny. Again, like I said earlier. And it's just very Nagi, you know? Like, what do we expect from Nagi? So he was there to help out in the end, and they were able to free Ten. And, you know, as Riku is freeing Ten is like asking a million questions about Riku, making sure that he's okay. And Riku's like, no, like, don't worry about me. Like, I was just faking. That was part of our plan. Wasn't it great? And Ten ends up slapping Riku, which honestly I felt like was a little bit out of line, but at the same time I can kind of see where Ten is coming from, because he was generally worried, and he, like, we see Ten loses cool, and I think this is one of the very few instances where we actually get to see like his true feelings and how he feels, and like instead of trying to like lock those feelings and not let anyone know like how he's truly feeling when it comes to Riku, because I feel like Ten tries to make himself feel like the bad guy in order to protect Riku. So to see this other side of him where he's like in a panic mode and is really concerned for his twin brother was really nice to see, because you can tell like this really freaked him out, seeing that he was in danger. And he did say, you know, don't you know like how much me and our parents have suffered and worried about you when you get these attacks. And you can tell Riku does feel a little bit guilty, but I'm just like, you know, like Ten, like I get it, I get where you're coming from, but like maybe tone it a little bit down. But I feel like if any of us were in Ten's shoes, we would react the same way as well. So like I said, I can't really fault him for that. So I think that is a perfectly nice, like, you know, just a normal response to it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they were able to save Ten. And now let's move on to the next group, which back to our boys, Yamato, Sogo, and Tamaki. And they're able to save Gaku, which poor Gaku was like tied up and silenced, my poor boy. And it's so funny because once they find out that Nagi was able to rescue Ryu like without any hiccups or anything, Sogo comes up with the plan. He's like, wait, let's use that to our advantage. Because I'm sure like the other people don't know that he's free, that Ryu has escaped. So let's use that to our advantage and tell them like, hey, like someone escaped, let's go. Like he's like, they're probably panicking right now, so and not knowing what to do. So let's use that to our advantage. And as he's talking about this plan, what really interested me the most was when Tamaki says that he doesn't recognize Sogo. And I think it's because you know how Yamato was saying in this episode while Sogo was talking about the plan, how he was like, oh yeah, I always forget that you come from like a really high value, not high value, what was it? Like this big important family. So I think this is a side that, you know, Yamato can see and understand, since they probably had similar upbringings, but this is also a side that Tamaki does not know about, especially because we don't really know too much about Sogo's life with his father and, you know, his rich life back then. So, like I said, I think we all feel like as the audience, like Tamaki, like we don't know this side of Sogo, so of course we were going to feel a little bit like, who is this? So I think this also hurts Tamaki in a way because I feel like he wants to get to know Sogo and know everything about him, and I feel like this hurt him because he felt like he knows him the best, and the fact that this showed up, he's like, maybe I don't know him. So I, you know, like that made me a little bit sad. So as they're going in to save Gaku again, Yamato uses his acting skills to be able to get him free and try to get out, but the men that are holding Gaku hostage are like not budging, and they're like, no, you're not leaving without him. And then Sogo goes into one of his modes that we see where he just like all of a sudden whips out a katana, and he starts to like go into like this threatening stance, like he's ready to fight somebody, which I thought was hilarious. But that was able to like make the guys, you know, that were holding Gaku hostage shut up, and they were able to go out free. But because of that, Sogo is running around the city with this giant sword, and he's like, I don't know what to do, like I'm just so nervous that I can't let this go. And it's so cute because this is when Tamaki comes in. He like holds his hand and he's like, hey, like try letting go of it, like just open up your hand. And he does, and it's just so cute because Tamaki's like, there, it's the guy that I know. I was just like, oh, like I don't know, like that made me like so emotional and crying like a little bit, like I was tearing up because of how sweet that moment was. Because like Tamaki at the end of the day does know Sogo best, and these two they just work well together, you know? And I don't know, I just thought it was so sweet. Like it's just like it warmed my heart. Like how can you not cry seeing that? Like, you know, like I said, Tamaki knows Sogo the best. He's worked with him, he's been there, they've had their ups and downs, so of course he knows what to do, you know? Anyways, you guys, now that Ten and Gaku are safe and they're headed back to the venue, it is unfortunate because they do not save the boys in time. And Ryunosuke has to go on stage by himself to perform their new song, which of course is going to cause some uproar, and people in the audience are obviously not going to take it well. But Ryu is going to stand up strong and perform for, you know, his group and just do the best that he can. And I love that the boys of Trigger, Ten and Gaku, have faith in Ryunosuke and who he is. And they're like, no, he'll be okay. It'll be fine. Like, we believe in our boy. And it just goes to show you how much trust Trigger has in one another, that, you know, their bond is just so strong and they will always believe in each other. And it's just, it's a beautiful bond, honestly. And I feel like as we're going to get to see more and more episodes concerning Trigger, I feel like the more, like, Trigger is just going to be a big old part of my heart. Like, they already are, but, like, you know, seeing these episodes are making me love them even more. And it's funny because as Gaku is talking about how he trusts Ryunosuke and everything because they're Trigger and stuff, we see the Places poster and I'm just like, oh, like I love that they put that tiny detail in this episode, like the Places poster, because we have seen the ending song in the first part. So seeing that and then seeing the poster and then just when Gaku says like I believe in him, it's just like it hit so many feels. Like it really hit me hard. And that's just one of the things about Idolish7 that I love. It's just that they put little things like this into the episode that just makes it more meaningful, you know? And just like I was saying earlier, Ryu is getting ready to go up on stage, but of course Ryo-san has to say a few words to try and, you know, rile him up and scare him. But of course Ryunosuke is not taking any of this, and he's like, you know, you can take everything away from me, all you're gonna do is just strip me bare and I have to start over again. And I love that Ryu is like, I don't care if people find out that I'm a son of a fisherman or whatever, all we have to do is just stand up to you and unite. And you know, Trigger, and that Trigger is in his heart, and he's not gonna leave behind these men that he's fought alongside with. And as Ryunosuke is giving this speech, like this really, really beautiful speech, it actually strikes a chord in Torao, which I thought was really interesting, and I feel like I need to make a note of this just because I have a feeling, because again, this is Idolish7, we're gonna come back to this moment and find out how Torao felt in this moment when Ryunosuke was talking about. So it's gonna be really interesting to see this come back full circle. So I'm really excited to see what this meant for Torao and, you know, again, his backstory, because I'm sure he has something going on, because we only see like this one side so far. So I'm excited to get to know, like really get to know the boys of Zool. So we'll see what happens in the future, man. Anyway, you guys, so after this, Ryu goes ahead and he starts singing their new song on stage, which is so cool to see because someone made a note on Twitter where Ryunosuke's voice actor was performing this song in one of the lives I'm not sure what live it was, but I'm assuming it was probably the most recent, or maybe it wasn't. But seeing someone post like just the similarities between Ryunosuke and that live performance was really nice. I really, really, really liked seeing that. And I was just like, wow, like that's actually really cool to see and really interesting. So yeah, and I really do like this song, but you know, now knowing the context of it, I was like, ooh, because we do have the version where all the boys are singing and then Ryunosuke, which I always thought was weird. I was like, why is he only singing this song? I always wondered why, what was the reason that Ryunosuke had to sing the song by himself. But now I know, and now I'm in pain. But anyways, you guys, after Ryunosuke is done singing, we actually get to see Gaku's dad. Like, he's there to support him, and he basically tells him, like, you know, you did really good, and how proud of him he was and everything. And it was just like surprising to see Gaku's dad, but I'm sure he was there again to support the boys, but also to finally talk to Ryo-san and see what he can do in the situation, because I'm sure Gaku's dad is probably feeling frustrated that he can't do anything to protect the boys and make all this mess go away. But yeah, one last thing that I have to mention before I end this video is the audience. So I really love that the audience was really rooting for Trigger and just being there for them. And I really love, as like Ryunosuke was singing, we get to hear like the fans' thoughts and how, you know, Rivales and Idolish7 fans were coming along to support the boys of Trigger, and we're like, no, like you can do this, we support you. We know that Ten and Gaku are frustrated that he can't be there with you, so that just goes to tells you like what kind of fans that they truly have, that they believe in them, and they know, they probably have an idea like, you know, this isn't what the boys wanted, but this is all they can do. So I love that they all have faith in these boys, and especially that, you know, two other groups from different fandoms are coming together to support this one group, which I think is really, really beautiful. But yeah, you guys, that is everything that I have to say regarding last week's episode of Idolish7. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my thoughts overall, and I will be discussing the next episode pretty soon. So look forward to that, and I'll try to post that soon. Anyways, thanks for listening to me, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!